I should put some lotion on my hands. My hands ashy. Anyways, if you could tell by the title of this video, this is my first video. So obviously everyone is new here. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, sis. This might be a fail, but at least I tried, you know? Hey, y'all. It's Ari, but y'all know me as Arioki. Welcome to With Arioki. This is my first video. Today I'm going to be addressing something that I have been wanting to address for a while now, but it just dawned on me like over the last few weeks. And around this time last year, I was experiencing a lot of grief, but I wanted to address grief overall and like touch on a little bit about my different forms of grief that I experienced over the last like 6 years of like constant transition. And I know I'm always speaking about I feel like I've been in constant transition since I moved here. But I think what comes along with that is like constant grief as well, like letting things go and moving forward. So grief in a sense of like actual death, right? Like experiencing death. The last 5 years, I experienced death closer to me for the first time. So people I actually had like really close, intimate relationships with. So navigating those different deaths from like aunts and uncles to, and a grandmother, to also navigating the loss of like certain relationships. So from my marriage to like a lifelong best friend, to losing different jobs or like having to leave jobs because of the severity it was having on my mental health and like my physical health, transitioning out to from like losing my apartment and transitioning to a new home with my family, like things like that all comes with grief throughout those transitions. So I definitely haven't been experiencing that. But this new feeling of grief that I've experienced around this time last year was like grief of myself. And it was very different. I didn't understand it. I didn't recognize it. I didn't know why. But it was definitely a spiritual experience. And I still don't have a clear explanation of why it took place or like how to actually express it through words. I am going to show a clip here. Hopefully, I remember to edit this in. So, I've been feeling like really odd lately, and I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what words I would even use to describe it. Like, there's been many mixed feelings and emotions, but one emotion that I'm feeling in particular is grief. I feel like I'm grieving my previous marriage, but I'm also feel like I'm grieving myself, and I don't know how or why. Like, I don't know why I get the sense that I'm grieving myself. Like, I don't know how to describe it. But if you are a fellow Christian and you've experienced grieving yourself before, let me know your thoughts. Of that video was around like March 1st or March 2nd of last year. And back then, I recognized that I was grieving myself, but I didn't know like what parts of myself I was grieving or how to really navigate it. I kind of just sat with it and allow myself to move through the emotions and not like throw it under the rug or try to ignore it. Like I really sat in it and it lasted for like a good month. And so now looking back, pretty much a year later, I realized during that time had been a year since my separation. And so I feel like part of me was grieving like different identities of myself. So grieving like my identity as a wife, and then grieving, my old self in a sense of like spirituality too, because I feel like during that time God really made a change in my spiritual awareness of myself, and you know, was pushing me towards a new version of myself spiritually overall. And but like I said, at the time I didn't know what it was. It just felt uncomfortable. I didn't know how to I just didn't know anything. And the only way I can describe it was like I'm grieving myself, I'm grieving something. So that's what I want to talk about today. Hopefully, from the video I inserted here, you got a little bit more of an idea of what I was going through, because I did document it in real time, and I shared it with like my friends and like those who follow me on TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, go ahead and follow me on TikTok. But now I having like a full circle like revelation of like these are things I probably was grieving at that time, like grieving the understanding that I was moving into a new direction spiritually, and like having to make more sacrifices to serve in a new community that I have now adopted as like my spiritual family. Um, at that time, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next with work, because I was really exhausted at the job I was currently in. So I think it was just a lot of things I was grieving, along with like a few identities that I was letting go at that time. So I wanted to encourage everyone, from my experience, to recognize that and don't ignore it, acknowledge it, sit with God, talk to Him, pray on it, seek some answers through the Word. Thankfully, I had some spiritual friends in my life who talked to me through it, and really just held space for me during that time when I just didn't understand and I was like so confused, and I feel like I was just like not making any sense, but they understood because they had similar experiences. So definitely get within community and share and express yourself in that way. And acknowledge that grief happens even outside of death. Like I said, it happens in other, like losing titles and losing friendships and relationships, jobs. Even one of my friends, she laughed at me because I was like, I lost a car. And that was when I lost my Honda that got flooded. And now I'm like, I lost another car, like our 20-year-old family car. So I feel like I was grieving in this process too over the last like 4 months of like really having to let that go. Like, it might sound light because these are like material things, but it still is a process, especially when you have such a attachment to something. And I know we're not supposed to be attached to material things, but that had like a lot of memories and got me through a lot, got my family through a lot. So it was just a lot to let go of. And yeah, it wasn't the easiest, but it needed to be done to move on to better things and have better security and safety, especially for transportation. But yeah, so just losing multiple cars, multiple relationships, actually experiencing death in multiple times in my family, along with just like losing of those old identities that I was holding on to. So yeah, I just wanted to share that today and encourage you all to like really tap in to recognizing when you're grieving and not downplaying it, and like recognizing it for something real. And it may not seem like so substantial to others, but if it matters to you, it matters to you. So yeah, I just wanted to encourage you guys with that and share my experience. And I didn't really have a true intention other than me just kind of using this as like a video journal, especially when I recognized like the year had passed and I was able to look back and see the difference. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Leave comments down below if you've ever felt like you were grieving yourself, or if you've been dealing with a lot more grief in these last few years. I know we all have, because of the pandemic and it's just the different constant change that we've been experiencing since the pandemic. So just share your thoughts in the comments. If you have any encouraging words for me as well, or you want to send prayers my way, or just send me to like resources or anything, I'm always accepting that as well. I would love to have a conversation with you in the comments. And if you feel like someone can benefit from just hearing my experience, or just having that conversation in the comments, please share this video with them. One of my main goals is like for those who watch my videos not to feel alone, for them to recognize parts of himself in me and be able to have that identity piece and connection piece and community piece. And so, for sure, just continue sharing this. Thank you for those who are supporting me, liking this video. This is my first video. I know it's a little bit bizarre for me to start off with grief as my first video, but it was on my heart and I wanted to talk about it. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in and watching and listening and holding space virtually. And I look forward to the next video with y'all, and I'll be sharing things that come up. All right, bye.